The chill is in the air, and what goes well with cold weather? Soups. The Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama, has the following soups to choose from. Meaty vegetable soup, which is absolutely delicious. Loaded potato soup. Black bean soup, smoked ham and white bean chili, regular chili, which is another great option, or Creole gumbo. Now, the Coker Market is open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. And to find out which soups they are going to have each day, you can find out at the Coker Market's Facebook page, The Coker Market. So check out their Facebook page today to see what kind of soups that the Coker Market is going to have, and go by there and get warmed up with some of the soups there at the Coker Market. Jeff Bagwell of Honey Hole Fisheries right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, is a professional biologist who specializes in lake management. If you are interested in helping build the pond or lake of your dreams, or if you need help deciding if property you own is a good location to build a pond, you can contact Jeff Bagwell at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Contact him today and let him help you build the lake or pond of your dreams, or also stock your pond or lake with fish that you most desperately need. We have made it to championship weekend. Championship games begin this evening. However, the Power 4 Conference Championship games begin tomorrow. On this edition of the Stingray Show, we are going to be discussing the ACC Championship, the Big Ten, and the Big 12 Championship game, and all of those will determine the field of the playoffs. Dan Wolken, formerly of the USA Today and now with Yahoo Sports, is going to join us on this edition of the Stingray Show to talk about all of the conference championship games and then the coaching carousel. We are about to be joined by him right after this open on the Stingray Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Heath, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good, kind of sexy on the surface, yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, I want to welcome you inside the Friday edition of the Stingray Show. And this evening, we have the Sun Belt Championship game, the Conference USA Championship game, the American Championship, and then the Mountain West Championship. And then the Power 4 conferences get underway tomorrow with their championship games. And to talk about all of that and the coaching carousel here from Memphis, Tennessee, here is Mr. Dan Wolken. Dan, how are things with you there in Memphis?
Well, I'm actually in Atlanta, but everything is good.
Dude, man, when did you make the move?
Oh, I've been in Atlanta for like 15 years, almost 12 years.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So people associate me with Memphis because I
Okay.
did work there many years ago. But yes, I've been in Atlanta for a bit.
Gotcha.
Dan, I live right outside of Memphis in DeSoto County. I know you've been gone. But Dan, we've had you on the show several times. You're a friend of the show. You haven't been on in a while. Thank you for joining us. But I remember one of our conversations the last time is what restaurant you miss in Memphis, and you told me the Half Shell. And my birthday's
Yeah.
coming up next week, and I can promise you I'll be there.
All right, well have a cup of gumbo for me.
I will definitely. I always do. I doubt I'll go with the voodoo catfish, but I will get me a dozen on the Half Shell. Always
There
do.
you go. Okay, good spot.
So
right.
Dan, I do want to ask you, talk a little bit about the Ryan Silverfield hire there at Arkansas, because you came out on Twitter and said that Arkansas did get a good hire and a great guy, but there are a lot of pushback there from the Arkansas fans about that hire.
Well, look, I've been through this before many times, and what you often see is sort of an initial pushback to a hire like that, and it's mostly because fans of schools like Arkansas, I mean, they're not paying attention to Memphis, they're not paying attention to Ryan Silverfield, they don't really know much about him.
Right.
So, the coach comes in, he has the press conference, people learn. Coaches generally are really good at PR and at sort of getting people fired up. And so I think you've seen that process actually take place over the last few days. Silverfield's been around Fayetteville. He got a couple commitments to flip to Arkansas from other schools, in-state commitments. Did a good job at the press conference, went to the football game and, fired people up and talked to donors. And I think now, you see more people who are like, all right, this is our guy, this is our coach, we're going to get behind him. And that's just how it usually works. So, Silverfield is a really good guy. Does that mean he's going to be successful? I have no idea.
Right.
There's no way to tell with most of these hires. So it was a tough coaching market. Arkansas wasn't going to get some, big name guy. A lot of the schools, especially in the SEC, were kind of fishing from the same pond of candidates. And, I'm not sure that Arkansas was at the front of that line. So they end up with Silverfield. We'll see how it works.
Right.
Dan, we're an SEC show. We're going to keep it on the SEC, but there's one burning question I think every college football fan's got going on in their head right now. What in the world is going on at Penn State in this coaching hire, and what's the latest you've heard of what's going on at Penn State? Because I just think everything's just insanely crazy and poorly done right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody there would have expected them to be in this position December 5th with all these other jobs being filled. They were the first one to make the move on their coach, and it looks like they're going to be the last one to actually get a hire done. It's been a messy process, and a lot of people have turned them down, have gotten raises, et cetera, et cetera. I think they're probably very close. I mean, there was multiple reports yesterday that they had engaged Matt Campbell from Iowa State. I think that's a very sensible and reasonable name for them to pursue. We'll see if they can land that plane in the next day or two. If not, then we're going to be back in this position, and it's going to be messy again. But if they end up with Campbell, I think that's a very good name and reasonable hire. Somebody who's been successful at Iowa State and has a lot of reason to want one of those elite Big Ten jobs, and I think it has for a while. So if that's where they end up, bad process, but probably a good result.
Dan, the final coaching carousel question I want to ask you about, what did you think about the drama of Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss ultimately going to LSU?
Well, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was good for the sport. I didn't think it was good for the fans. I mean, when you have a situation like this where the whole point of Lane Kiffin in the last 6 years at Ole Miss was to build a team and a roster that could go compete for a playoff spot, and now here they are in the playoff, and he's just kind of walking away because he believes that LSU offers him a better opportunity to build the kind of team he already has now. And so that's the unfortunate part of it. I don't know how it's going to affect Ole Miss in the playoff. Probably not in a positive direction. And it's just sad. And I think it's a real issue college football needs to now start paying attention to and dealing with, because with the 12-team playoff, you're just going to have more and more situations probably where a coach is leaving. And, I don't think it's good for the sport to have a coach leave a playoff team before the end of the season. And I don't think you want that to happen every year.
Dan, we had Mark Schlabel on the show yesterday, and I'm going to ask you the same favor I asked Mark. Can we write some love pieces to Diego Pavia to stick around for one more year at Vanderbilt? He's been cleared. I've never seen a player that is just infatuated by SEC schools all around since Tim Tebow. But Diego Pavia, it just is a fun talent. Everyone seems to like him. Everyone kind of cheers for him in the SEC. And he's going to make more money if he stays at Vanderbilt than goes off to, sign a 6-round contract with the Jets or something, be a draft pick from the Jets. So with that, what can we do? And I'm asking a fun question. What can we possibly do to keep Diego in Nashville for one more year? And would it be good for Vanderbilt? I know they got the 5-star quarterback, but to redshirt him and get him some time to get his feet under himself and get up used to SEC speed, I think would be perfect. What can we do to keep Diego in Nashville?
Well, I don't know, how that would all legally work out. I mean, there's been all kinds of lawsuits and things, and that's one that, could possibly be appealed. The NCAA's actually had a very good success rate in winning these eligibility cases. They did not win the one to bring him back this year, but he's had enough time in college football.
Oh yeah, he's had more than plenty.
I've enjoyed watching Diego Pavia play. I think we all have. I think there's certainly a chance he'll win the Heisman next Saturday night.
That would be awesome.
And Vanderbilt 10-2. It doesn't look like they're going to make the playoff, which is unfortunate. I would love to see him play in the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's ever been in the cards, really. I think it's been teased as kind of a fun hypothetical, but I don't think that was ever reality, probably for a variety of reasons. Yeah, and again, sometimes you just you've done your thing in college, like you got to move on.
Yes.
What do you think about them trying to get the 13th game in and try to make that happen?
Well, I mean, I saw obviously they're talking about that and they're trying to send a message to the committee. I don't think that was ever realistic. I think it's fun. It's good fodder, but I don't think that was ever even remotely within the realm of possibility. So it's certainly going to enhance arguments to expand the playoff. I mean, that's where we are right now in college football, is the teams that feel like they should be in who don't get in are going to be in favor of expanding the playoff. And I think we'll probably get there. I don't know what form it's going to take. It's a interesting time in negotiations between the SEC and the Big Ten. They don't really seem to be on the same page right now about what that is going to look like. So probably not going to happen next year. There's a small chance it might, but I think in the future you'll see, a 16-team playoff and maybe beyond, and teams like Vanderbilt will probably be in. But given the logistical challenges, like you would have had to have been working on that extra game, I think, for like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And goodness knows it might not have even been allowed by the NCAA, because there are rules about how many games you can play.
Right. So I do want to ask you, moving to the College Football Playoff Committee, what are your thoughts on this year's committee and how they have ranked the opponents so far this season?
Yeah, I don't really agree with a lot of what they've done, but the problem is not necessarily the decisions that they've made in these weekly rankings. It's the fact they have the weekly rankings at all. I don't think they should have them. I think they should get rid of them. I think it causes a lot of unnecessary kind of rancor and stress around the playoff, and we start to hyperanalyze every single move and every single thing that the committee chairman says on television. And the reality is they're operating each week when they do these rankings with incomplete information. They're not going to have the complete picture until late Saturday night. And that's when the real work starts. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be dramatically different. It might be, from previous weeks, but I just feel like these rankings sort of box them in, and then they have to go explain things, and then they sound very stupid because there's never a consistent explanation from why you chose X over Y and then why you did Y over Z. Often they're just at odds. So I don't think it makes them look good to do this every week. I know ESPN likes the content and the programming, but I actually think it's bad because it just takes all the oxygen up, and all we focus on is where the committee has put these teams and what that means for the final bracket. And I think it would be better to just have it sort of be a little bit of a mystery and sort of speculation, and then we find out all at once at the end.
Dan, keeping it with an SEC flavor, what are some of the things that shocked you, surprised you, made you smile the most this year? And what are some things that you didn't care for, didn't like, and just kind of want to move away from? This college football season has been crazy. With an SEC spin on it, what can you say about the 2025 season?
Well, you get to the end, and what we're in right now is a lot of the whining. And I don't like the whining. I'm tired of the whining. Texas, I'm sorry, but you were the most inconsistent team in the country this year. You had big highs. You had a very good win over A&M at home. We know you're an extremely talented team, but you lost at Florida. Yes. You got beat really badly by Georgia. You were life and death to beat Kentucky and to beat Mississippi State, which were not teams that were supposed to be in your category this year. So, you're asking a committee to evaluate you. They can't just evaluate the good stuff. They have to evaluate the bad stuff. It was a complicated picture for Texas, but they were a 3-loss team with a loss to Florida. It wasn't the Ohio State loss that's going to keep them out, right?
Right.
So, but on the other hand, you can look at Texas, and there's good things there. I thought Arch Manning toward the end of the season developed really well and started to play a lot better. And, maybe going into next year, that's a sign that they're going to be really poised to go on a huge run in 2026. But they didn't do enough to make the playoff. It's okay. But don't gaslight all of college football to say that you should be in, or you would be in because you scheduled Ohio State and now you may cancel non-conference games. Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody's got 12 games to play. Play the games you think are worthy games to play for your program. If you're good enough, it's all going to work out. They weren't good enough this year, bottom line. So so the whining always is at the end is always problematic for me.
I'm being funny here. Who's the biggest crybaby in football as far as fan base, and why is it the Texas Longhorns?
Well, I mean, you can certainly look at the history of Texas and say when things don't go their way, their sort of default mechanism is to change the rules of the game. Right. So you've sort of heard echoes of that in some of their rhetoric this week, but listen, they get Ohio State at home next year, right? Doesn't help this year's team, but go play them, go beat them. And guess what? If you do, you're going to be in great position to make the playoff next year, even if you do stub your toe to somebody like Florida.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go on ahead and talk about some of the conference championship games, and let's begin with the Big 12 championship game, a rematch of a game earlier this year, BYU and Texas Tech. Dan, give us your thoughts on who wins the Big 12.
Yeah, I think it's a tough matchup for BYU. We saw in that first game, it was certainly tougher for them in Lubbock than it will be at Jerry World, although Texas Tech may have a lot of people there. I just think Texas Tech is a different level team than BYU. The defensive line is elite, truly elite in any context, any country, or any conference. And they just give you a lot of problems. They take away your run game. They make you one-dimensional. I just don't think BYU can really match up with that. So I expect Texas Tech to win pretty convincingly.
All right, let's move to the ACC. The shocker, 7-5 Duke going up against 10-2 Virginia. How do you see that one playing out? And if you want chaos, be pulling for Duke.
We'd all want chaos. That's why we love college football.
Yeah, I think Virginia's going to win this one. I think Virginia's just a pretty good team. I mean, they're not one of the top 12 teams in the country, but they're maybe just right outside of it. Chandler Morris being healthy, going into this game, I think is huge. Yeah, I just think Virginia is better. I mean, look, Duke's not bad, and there's certainly some games that they've lost this year that were very, very close to being wins. Play here, play there. They could have a much better record, but I just don't expect them to win that game.
Right. All right, let's move to the Big Ten championship game. The two undefeated teams, number 1 versus number 2, Ohio State and Indiana. Who ultimately wins the Big Ten championship?
I may go upset here and pick Indiana, and I think it's a little bit maybe of just a motivation issue. Ohio State coming off the big win against Michigan, that was a hugely cathartic performance for them. I'm sure it was a lot of celebration, a lot of relief to finally get that done after the 4 straight losses. And I don't know that they're going to have the same edge in this game. Everyone knows on the field, in the coaching box, that it doesn't really matter who wins. I mean, yeah, it does. It's a football game. But I just don't think Ohio State's going to be at their best. I think for Indiana, winning the Big Ten is much more important, much more significant. And I think they're going to play with maybe the edge that Ohio State might lack. So I think Indiana in an upset, and then if they play again in the playoff, I think I'd go the other way and pick Ohio State.
Gotcha. All right. And finally, the championship game that everybody cares about. It is a rematch. This will be the 4th time that these teams have met in Atlanta. The previous 3 went the way of the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Kirby, unfortunately, we say it every time, has only 1 win against Alabama. Eventually, that streak has to end. Dan, Alabama or Georgia, right there in your backyard in Atlanta, who wins the SEC championship game tomorrow at 4 o'clock Atlanta time?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Georgia here. And Kirby Smart certainly has had his issues with Alabama, whether it was Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer.
Right.
But I just believe that Georgia's a better team. And I was there at that first game that they played in Athens. And, I think I just feel like they've trended maybe in different directions over the last month of the season. I feel like Georgia is really trending up and Alabama may be trending down, and they were very close to blowing that game against Auburn. I don't know if they've been quite the same team. We'll see about Jam Miller and the injury, if he's playing. I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like Georgia's going to win this one. I just rematch. They were close the first time. And to me, the question is going to be, if that is the way it plays out, is how badly does Alabama get beat, and will that impact their status with the committee? I don't think the committee wants to drop a team out of the playoff for losing a conference championship game that other teams don't have to play.
Right.
But I do think, you can look at it and say they'd be a 3-loss team. Is their best football sort of behind them? If it's a blowout, I think the committee might do something funny. I mean, they were only number 10 this week. They were right on the cut line. So, and I know that there's a huge amount of controversy out there around the Miami versus Notre Dame discussion. Could they use that as an excuse to just put in both teams? It'll be interesting to see. So if Georgia does win, I think it's going to be a really nervous Saturday night for Alabama and their fans.
Yes.
Dan, hear me out on this. Me and Steven talked about this on the show earlier this week, and letting teams in and expanding the playoff, blah, 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 all these big dream things. If I don't like to mix apples and oranges and compare them, but if you look at basketball, college basketball, we complained about the 48 teams, and then we made it 64, and we still complained, and now we made it 68. And now people still complain that who didn't get in for basketball. And it's going to be that same way with football. But we honestly can say that if we went to a 24-team playoff and all the conference teams get a first-round bye from the Power Four conferences, They get a first round bye. These other teams play out. So basically it's a 16-team playoff after that. People cannot really say, well, the 25th team had a chance to win the national title. And I get it. Some people get that, and I respect that. What is the answer to this? And is branding holding the committee up? I'm a small business owner. I get it. It's about money. I get it. But is these big brands, is that's what's holding this back, the conferences and big brands?
I don't know. Look, everyone in this sport has kind of their own agenda because the conferences are all operating in their own best interests. It's not about the health of the sport or what's best for the sport overall. It's about what's best for the SEC, what's best for the Big Ten, what's best for the ACC, and it becomes sort of this, this food fight over your piece of real estate. And because that's sort of the default setting for college football, I don't know that you can ever have an answer that's going to satisfy everybody. I mean, Greg Sankey is out there yesterday talking about the SEC deserves to have 7 teams in the playoff. Well, I mean, come on, like nobody really believes that, that the SEC should have 7 of the 12 teams. Like that's stupid, right? So, I just don't know. I don't know where it's going to settle. I don't know where it's going to, who's going to move, who's going to give up something to get something. That's why, like, month after month, these commissioners go into these meetings to try to work out a deal for what the expansion is going to look like, and they just can't come to any sort of agreement. So, it's not easy. I don't have the answer, but it would certainly be better for the sport and for the fans if people started operating a little bit more collectively and with that mindset, as opposed to I got to do what's best for me.
I haven't asked this question in a while on the show. If we ever had a commissioner for college football, who would you want to see?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I honestly couldn't even come up with a name. I find that whole thing so theoretical that it just doesn't even move the needle for me. Like, I know it's a fun topic that people talk about. College football needs a commissioner. It should be Nick Saban. It should be, but like, do any of these dudes look to you like they're like willing to give up their power? Doesn't look like that to me, right? And that's what it would require. Like, you'd have to say, oh, Greg Sankey, you're no longer running the most powerful league in college sports. You're just going to kind of be over here. And Tony Petitti, your league makes the most money from television, but we don't care about you anymore. It's all this commissioner. I just don't think it's realistic.
Right.
The way college football is now, at least.
So, Dan, I do want to ask you this. In parting, I want to put you on the spot. Next Saturday night in New York, who do you ultimately have taking home the grandest prize in college football other than the national championship, the Heisman Trophy?
Well, I would say that just based on the way people vote and the way people tend to do these things, I think whichever quarterback wins that Big Ten championship game is going to win the Heisman, whether it's Mendoza or Sand. I do think Pavia has a lot of support, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who vote for him. But I just sort of feel like perhaps, recency bias will win the day. And if one of those 2 quarterbacks in the Big Ten game that everybody's going to be watching has an amazing day and leads their team to a win and goes into the playoff as the clear number 1 team in the country, I just think that will have the momentum.
Yes.
All right. Can we get this away from being a quarterback award? I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but I'm just so tired of quarterbacks winning it over and over and over.
It's a pretty important position. So
it is. And I won't deny that.
Right. All right. And as we walk out the door, what are you most looking forward to in this bowl season and the college football playoffs this season?
Well, I'm looking forward to some of these home games. I mean, they could be really good matchups in the first round. I'm hoping they're better than they were last year. Last year I thought the first round matchups were a little bit dull.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, there's certainly a scenario where if there's 2 group of 5 teams, like if you had James Madison and, Tulane, North Texas winner, that the matchups, the first round matchups could maybe be a little bit iffy. But I think if you get Virginia in there and, you have sort of a real, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, I think they could actually be 3 really interesting games. So I love the home playoff game atmosphere, and I hope that that's something that actually expands to the next round, because I think that'd be really good for college football.
All right, so Dan, you were nice enough to join us this morning. Feel free to promote any kind of article that you have coming out or one that you have up now on yahoo.com.
Well, we're gonna have all kinds of good stuff throughout the week. I mean, we're covering everything over there. So just download that Yahoo Sports app and read all the stuff that me and Ross Dellinger do over there.
Awesome.
And Dan, being here in the Memphis area, I'm going to get in trouble if I don't ask this. How much can we believe the Dan Mullen to Memphis rumors? Because I was even talking to Mark Schlabach about that last night.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's come up. I don't know. Like Dan's been pretty adamant that he's not going to leave UNLV.
Right.
It doesn't seem to me like the opportunity that would entice him to leave after 1 year, but maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think Dan's a great football coach. If Memphis is able to get that done, that would be amazing. But I think probably more likely you're looking at, Jerry Mack, Kennesaw State, Charles Huff from Southern Miss.
Charles Huff would be great.
Maybe sort of those guys, I think, are names that have been, very, very much linked to that job.
Dan, as always, thank you. This has been a blast. You were always a wealth of knowledge. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we will catch up with you later on, my friend.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
All right, so that is going to wrap up our interview there with Dan Wolken. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And Heath, we are about to do a advertising commercial for one of our wonderful advertisers, and then when we come back, I'm actually going to break one of our rules here on the Stingray Show. Just wait for it.
It's either COVID or politics.
How would you like to live where you love in the state of Alabama? Whether it is you're upsizing, downsizing, retiring at the beach, or relocating for your job, then you are going to want to contact Celeste Hagler, owner of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, with brokers in Tuscaloosa, Orange Beach, and Huntsville. They can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is 205-861-5698, and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals anywhere across the state of Alabama. All right, so welcome in to the post show. And Heath, did you happen to see what Diego Pavia did on Twitter on December the 2nd at 11:30 at night?
Dude, I have no Twitter game. I'm never on Twitter. What happened?
Okay, I am about to break our rule here, but this is interesting to say the least, and we can discuss it. Diego Pavia on Twitter took his frustration to the top of the command and said, "At real Donald Trump, please make an executive order to make the college football playoff a 16 team this season."
I second the motion. Let's get moving. Do you know how much? Look, I don't care if you love or hate Trump. I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even going to touch it. And I don't care. I really don't care what you think about him. And you know what? No one else does either, so keep it off social media. But with that being said, could you imagine the chaos?
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine the chaos that would bring? And I'm not talking about the folks that love or hate Trump. I'm talking about the chaos of the powers that be in the NCAA and the TV folks and ESPN having a meltdown of, how are we going to get these games on, the folks at Disney and trying to get all this going. It would be excellent.
Yes.
Diego, we all want it. We do,
Right.
Diego. Thank you for doing that.
And Clay Travis did a little piece yesterday because he is a lawyer, and he seems like that there is no law out there that would prevent Donald Trump from doing that, and he doesn't think anybody would sue Trump over doing that.
I don't know. People sue you for anything these days. I mean,
Right.
it used to be hear me out. If people thought you had money, or people thought that you did have money, they would sue you. Now, if they just think that you have money, they would sue you. It's also if you think that you got insurance, they'll sue you.
Yeah.
It's just a sue happy country, and that's the downfall of America. That's another story for another show, not on here on our show.
Yeah.
But I'm with Clay Travis. I don't agree with everything Clay Travis says, but I agree with Diego and Clay on this one.
Yeah.
We want more football. This has been one of the greatest seasons. 2025 college football season has been amazing. It's been so much fun. Who wants less? We clearly want more of what's been a great season, a crazy season, a fun season, an insane coaching carousel, a wonderful season, playoffs. How funny would it be, Stephen, if there was an executive order signed and all of a sudden it's 32 teams in the playoff?
I know.
I mean, that would be insane. And you know what? Knowing the world that we live in, I was thinking about 16 yesterday. I signed in 16. I changed my mind today. Today we're going to make it 32.
Yeah.
It would just be funny.
All right, Keith.
Do you think we'll see anything? I don't think we'll see anything, but do you think we'll see anything come about? I mean, what I mean by that is, do you think like, hey, you know what? You're getting it wrong, college football. I'm not going to sign an executive order, but we are going to put some new rules in place starting today.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to do this. Hey, Congress, you need to pass this right now because of this. I mean, we had – who did we have on the show earlier this week? Was it Mark Schlabach?
Yeah.
We talked about it. It will literally take an act of Congress to kind of get some of these things changed in college football.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate this. Look, Stephen, I know I've been long-winded. I'm going to wrap it up right here. I'm from Gen X, and we think that the government touches anything, whether that be the post office, your 401k, health care. If the government touches it, it turns to crap immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want the government touching college football.
Correct.
Amen
to that.
Yeah. And so I'm just one of those things like, let me be, stay away, let us be free, let us do our thing. Stay out of my business. It's none of your business. It isn't.
All right, Heath, I know that you probably don't keep up with a lot of these games, but let's have a fun discussion as we leave the show this weekend. We never do this ever since we have been a radio show and now back on social media. Let's pick the conference championship games, okay?
I am not prepared for this, so let's do it.
All right. Tonight at 6 p.m. on ESPN, it is the Sun Belt Championship game. It is number 25 James Madison 11-1 taking on the Troy Trojans of Alabama at 8-4.
You know what? I didn't even know that game was on tonight. I got to coach my son's all-star football team. We got games tonight and tomorrow. But I'm gonna record that. I'm gonna come home and watch that. So when I leave Olive Branch High School tonight in the nasty weather, I'm gonna take a shower, warm up, and I'm gonna watch that one. I lean toward Troy in this one just because there's been a shakeup at James Madison. I think James Madison's a better team, but I'm gonna lean toward Troy.
I'm gonna go James Madison in that matchup.
Okay.
All right. At the same time, on CBS Sports Network, it is the Conference USA Championship, and it is Jacksonville State of Alabama at 8-4, and they are taking on Kennesaw State at 9-3. And Kennesaw State is currently a 2.5-point favorite. I will start this one, Heath. I'm going with Charles Kelly, the guy who was actually on our show earlier this summer, and I'm going to go with Jacksonville State in the upset.
Wow. I'm going to go with Kennesaw State. Well, you know what? It would make sense. The reason I was going to Kennesaw State, I think they're a better team, but you know what? Their coach has been interviewing for jobs. It could be a distraction. They may not be prepared. So you know what? I'm going to agree with you, Stephen. I will go Jacksonville State as well, just because I think there's some distractions going on with that coaching staff.
All right, at 7 p.m. on ABC, the American Championship game, and it is going to be the Mean Green North Texas versus the Tulane Green Wave. Heath, North Texas is a 2.5-point favorite. Who do you have? I'm actually going with North Texas winning this game. Their record currently is 11-1, and Tulane is 10-2.
Man, both teams have lost their coaches. One coach heading to Oklahoma State, the other coach heading to Florida. So this will be interesting. I think this game might be a little bit of a disaster. I think both teams will come out slow. I think both offenses will struggle. I think there's going to be some issues there. So with that, you know what? Give me the Green Wave. I'm just picking them for the fun of it. A lot of green going to be on your screen tonight with North Texas, the Mean Green, and the Tulane Green Wave. That's a lot of green, Stephen.
It is. Right here at Christmas, too, man.
We should call it like the Algae Bowl or something, you know?
Yeah. All right. And finally, the final game of this evening, and this is a rematch of a game earlier this season. It is on the Smurf turf of Boise State, the Mountain West Championship game. Boise State, shockingly enough, is a 8-4 football team taking on the Fighting Dan Mullins at 10-2. Heath, I know it's on the Smurf turf. I know that they got blown out earlier this season on the Smurf turf by Boise State, but give me UNLV in the upset because Boise State is currently a 5.5-point favorite.
Yeah, UNLV came into that game undefeated, getting some love. If they beat Boise State, they were talking about how they would represent, there in the college football playoff, and then they just got destroyed. They got outmanned and outclassed in that game. I didn't get to watch all that game, but I got to watch a good bit of it. I just think Boise State's the better team. I think they got better athletes. I think they're the better team. Give me the Broncos, man. I think they're going to win this one.
All right. Now, when we move to Saturday, we have BYU and Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game, and this is a rematch from earlier this year in which Texas Tech absolutely destroyed BYU. Both teams are 11-1, and Texas Tech is a 12.5-point favorite, 11 a.m. on ABC. Give me BYU in the upset and getting a revenge from earlier this season.
No way, Jose. No, sir. No, sirree, Bobcat. No, I definitely believe Texas Tech's not only going to win this one, they're going to win this going away. They're going to put some style points on it. It's going to be a blowout when it's all said and done. Get your shooters up. Get your guns up, man. I'm going Texas Tech in this one. Red Raiders all the way.
All right. Dude, I don't know anything about these two teams, but we do have to pick it. It is the MAC championship.
I love the MAC. Give me the MAC-tion.
It is 11 a.m. on ESPN. It is Miami of Ohio at 7-5 versus Western Michigan at 8-4. Western Michigan is a 1.5-point favorite. Heath, who you got?
Where's this game being played?
Detroit.
I don't know, man. Give me Ohio. Look, we've talked about it on the show. Bill Curry taught us this. The MAC takes their football very serious. They are just every bit as serious as the SEC. They just don't have the resources, but they take a tremendous amount of pride. That Ohio football program is a very, very prideful program. I mean, they get after it. I'm going to go with Ohio, man. I'm going to go with Ohio and the upset there. If this was a home game for Western Michigan, I would do this. But since they're playing it in Detroit, I'm going to go Ohio.
Detroit is in Michigan. I'm going with Western Michigan, and that's the only reason I am.
That Ohio team's been fun to watch this year. I've only watched them a couple of times,
Right.
but they have tremendously gotten better here in like the last month of the season. I'm telling you, man, I'm not going to be shocked if this game goes either way, and I might not even get a chance to watch it, but Ohio's a fun team to watch. That will be a fun game to watch. Don't poo-poo on that game with it being 11 o'clock. Like, I don't even know who these teams are. This game sucks. No, watch it. You will be entertained. That will be a good game.
All right, let's go to the ACC championship. It is 7-5 Duke versus number 17 Virginia at 10-2. 7 p.m. on ABC tomorrow night. Virginia is a 4.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 57.5.
Jeez Louise, that's a lot of points. That's a tremendous amount of points. I don't think Duke has a chance. I will be rooting for Duke. I don't think Duke can win this game.
Right.
But the only reason, and I'm not a Duke fan. Matter of fact, I don't care for Duke basketball, and I don't care for NC basketball. I don't care when the two play each other, but I usually watch that game just because it's a fun rivalry. The only reason I want Duke to win is because I'm a college football fan, and I want chaos to happen. At the same time, I've heard nothing but great things about that Virginia program, that coaching staff. They are a class act. They are a good bunch. They are a great bunch, high character group. So I'm not going to mind seeing Virginia win. But just to cause chaos and watch everybody lose their mind, including beat writers, reporters, desk jockeys, anybody and everybody, the anchors from the fans will lose their mind if Duke wins this game because it's going to create so much chaos. So that's the only reason I'm pulling for Duke. But you know what? The Who's are going to win. Cavaliers.
Give me the Who as well.
There you go.
All right, let's finish up with the Big Ten and the SEC championship game. Heath, we will begin in Indianapolis, number 1 versus number 2. It is Ohio State and Indiana, both teams and the final 2 teams that are 12-0, 7 p.m. tomorrow night on Fox. Ohio State is a 4-point favorite. Heath, Indiana or Ohio State?
Where's the game being played again?
Indianapolis.
Oh, wow. Interesting. There'll be more Ohio State fans there, even if it's in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah. My daughter was there not too long ago performing. But how much I want to pick Indiana. And can Indiana win this game? Absolutely they can.
Right.
I just don't think they're going to do it. I think Ohio State is really going to put their foot down. I just don't see a path for Indiana to be now let me rephrase that. There's not too many paths for Indiana to be successful. There is a few. There's just not that many. I think Ohio State has to make some mistakes or come out flat for Indiana to win this. I want Indiana to win this. But I think the Buckeyes win, and I think they win big. I don't want to say it, but I think they will.
The matchup predictor on ESPN, Indiana 50.6, Ohio State 49.4. That's about as close as you can get. I have watched Indiana a couple of times this year. I am not impressed with Ohio State. give me Kirk Cinetti. I hope I said that correctly.
Signetti. Mm-hmm.
Cinetti. Okay, Kirk Cinetti and Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers getting their Big Ten championship over the Buckeyes.
The Hoosiers. Who's your daddy? The Hoosier Daddy Hoosiers. Wow. I pull for the underdogs. I do.
Yeah.
I think most of us do. But man, that Ohio State team, it is. I think it might be better than last year's team.
Right.
All
right. And Heath, let's wrap up with the same old matchup, the one that I've got behind me. It is Ty Simpson versus Gunnar Stockton, Kirby versus DeBoer, Alabama, and Georgia again. This is the fourth meeting, like we've talked about all week, in the SEC championship game. The previous three have gone to Alabama. I completely agree with Dan Wolken that both of these football teams are trending in a different direction. From the South Carolina game on, Alabama just has not looked as crisp on offense, and Georgia has really picked it up outside of the Georgia Tech game last weekend. Heath, I'll let you pick first, and then I'll give you mine.
Well, for the record, Stephen did not want to see this game. Stephen did not want to see a rematch. Stephen thinks this is boring. And Stephen cannot stand either fan base and all your hate mail to Stingray at.
No. You know why I didn't want to see it again is because we've seen Kirby cannot beat Alabama. He always finds a way to lose this matchup.
Yeah, I think he outsmarts himself on some things, and the pressure just gets to him. I think the game gets going a little too fast for Kirby and this matchup. With that being said, I agree with everything you said, Stephen. Since the South Carolina game, Bama has not looked the same.
No.
And Bama has not looked good.
Except on defense. Their defense has locked in. Their offense has gone in a completely different direction.
You know, I've been impressed with them on offense. I would even say that the Bama defense has been a little inconsistent at times. Look, the bottom line is I think Bama's a little bit more inconsistent than Georgia right now. That's why I'm going to lean toward Georgia.
Right.
But I'm not going to be shocked. I will say this, and I told Stephen this. We were either talking on the phone or texting. Both these fan bases can't stand each other, and both these fan bases fear each other.
Yeah.
And one of these fan bases is just going to be completely broken and upset and crying when this game is over. And that's why I wanted to see this game. Just because I'm an SEC fan. We love the craziness. We love the chaos. And I knew that if these teams didn't get to face each other, they both would be pounding their chest going into the playoffs. Like, we're the better team. We're going to win this. Blah, blah, blah. No one cares. Blah, blah, blah. So with them having to face each other and just be worried sick all week about it and worried sick if they lose, just makes me laugh because I enjoy the chaos of college football.
Right.
So if you had asked me earlier in the week, I told you Bama was going to win this game. I'm going with Georgia. Wow. I'm going with Georgia just because I see so many inconsistencies with Alabama here, and they're not major inconsistencies, but it seems like they're getting more inconsistencies each week. None of them are major. All of them can be fixable. But I just think it's one of those things. It's kind of like when you see an undefeated team and we're winning games by a large margin and then by a couple of scores and by a score, then they're getting a couple, 1 or 2 point victories and they finally lose. Well, it's all because the inconsistencies were starting to mount up, but they were still finding a way to win it off talent at the end, and then finally it catches up with them. I think that's going on with Alabama right now. I just think the inconsistencies are just starting to mount up a little bit.
Right.
I think it's going to catch up with them this weekend.
Heath, the matchup predictor on ESPN, 51.1 to 48.9. That's another razor thin prediction right there, my friend.
Say those numbers again.
51% to 48%.
That's insane. Was it 51 and not 49?
Yep.
But wow, it's this is going to be a fun game. Steven, let's face it. If you're an SEC fan, you're a college football fan, you want to watch this game. You really do. These are two great teams, two great programs, having high success and competing at a high level. It's going to turn out to be a great game. Could this game turn out to be a blowout for one side or the other? All games could. I don't see that happening. But, I mean, Steven, let's just say that Bama loses by 21 or more points. Does Bama make the playoffs? What if Georgia loses by 21 or more points?
I still think so, yeah.
I do.
Because they only have 2 losses.
So
they would only have 2 losses then.
Yeah, but they have 2 losses to the same team who's not in the playoff. And I would argue that's more of a matchup problem,
right,
than anything else. But we'll have all these conversations on Monday. We really will. Because we'll know what's going to happen by then. But I don't know, man. The SEC this year has been so much fun. And here we are, the last SEC game. Well, we could get an SEC matchup in the playoff. But isn't that crazy to think about? We didn't get one last year, did we? We've never had an SEC matchup other than championship games.
Right.
We've never really had an SEC matchup, have we?
No.
Well, I hope that we get that. So there you go.
All right, Heath, my prediction. Yes, Alabama is trending in the wrong direction. Yes, Georgia is the better football team right now. But Heath, I'm to the point now. I've seen this song and dance so many times of Kirby Smart outthinking himself, calling a fake punt, going for it, missing it, and then having big leads on Alabama and finding a way to squander it. I'm to the point now to where if Georgia is going to beat Alabama, I'm going to have to see it to believe it. Believing is seeing. As they say this time of the year, I'm going with Alabama until Georgia and Kirby proves me wrong. I want to pick Georgia because I think they are the better team, but a lot of other times in this matchup, Georgia has been the better team.
Yeah.
And I will remind you, 1-7 is Kirby Smart. Seeing is believing, and until I see it, I'm going Alabama.
Kirby has never beat Alabama in regular season.
Or in the SEC championship.
Wow. I mean, he's only won once, and it was that national title game.
Yep. And that was because Alabama turned the ball over twice.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know who's going to win. I can tell you this, I'm not putting any money on it.
Right.
And I'm not going to be upset or sad for any of these teams winning or losing. I know some of you might. I'm just ready to watch some great football this weekend. I'm just going to sit back, watch it, enjoy it. And again, I got to coach games on Friday and Saturday. But when I get out of that weather, I cannot wait to watch these championship games.
All right, Heath, we are wrapping up the season tomorrow. Bowl season will begin shortly. Can we go on ahead and nominate our idiot, stupid, whatever you want to call it, person or people of this decade?
Sure, go for it.
Who do you think that would be?
I'm sure Lane Kiffin would get a lot of votes. Who do you got?
The people at CBS Sports. You had the opportunity to keep the Southeastern Conference and your pick of the SEC game of the week. You could have had Alabama and Georgia tomorrow on your network, and instead, you guys are not running anything because you guys decided to partner with the Big Ten, and guess who has the Big Ten championship game? That's right, Fox Sports. What idiots you are for dumping the SEC for the Big Ten.
Stephen, if you go back and look at the history of TV shows and things of the networks, NBC has always kind of been the powerhouse
Right.
for most of the decades. ABC has kind of been there. CBS has kind of been there, but some of the decision makers at CBS over the years, you're just kind of like, what are you guys doing? Look, we're not getting political. We've already done that.
No.
But just kind of look at some of their shows, whether it be late night shows or some of their anchors or how some of the debates have gone and this and that. Same thing with ABC. They've
Right.
lost some lawsuits and this and that. And I'm just kind of like, why are the decision makers not making good decisions? That's
Right.
their job. Your job is to make good and great decisions and try to avoid bad decisions altogether. That's what
Right.
we ought to try to do every day. But when you have so many people in the room making a decision and they all come up with a bad one, what are we doing?
Right.
Look, I get CBS. They didn't want to pay the money. They thought they made a very solid offer. It was nowhere close to what ABC, ESPN, Disney was offering the SEC.
Right.
But CBS should have said, hey, we may not be able to get the top game, but let us pick, a certain game.
One game.
Yeah. And they couldn't get that together. And I will say this, it was good for the Big Ten to kind of get that exposure on CBS, but have you seen those ratings, man? Have you seen those ratings?
No.
I mean, they were down from SEC going to the Big Ten, but last year's Big Ten to this year's Big Ten, they're down even more.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just kind of wondering, like, wouldn't you want to put like Arkansas and South Carolina on instead of,
did you see what game last week CBS had?
I don't even look at it anymore. Who do they have?
Friday, they had Friday. They had Iowa and Nebraska.
That game would have been awesome in like 1989.
Saturday, prime time now, 2:30, Washington hosting Oregon. Okay. Now, can you tell me what the best game CBS had this season matchup was?
For the season?
Yes.
Oh, man.
One. Indiana and Oregon.
That was a good game. I turned that on like 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like I turned it on at the very end.
How many barn burners did Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler have this season?
Oh, man, countless. They had a lot. There's so many good games this year.
So, yes, CBS, your marketing team, your PR people, and your management makes the Stingray shows idiots of the decade for dropping the SEC.
Well, you should come up with a hashtag like Dork of the Decade.
Yes. I mean, why would you do that, man?
Man, I don't know, man. There's reasons behind it. And, we talked about it with Schlaball. We talked about it with we even talked about it today on the show.
Yeah.
These decision makers are only making decisions for what's best for money right now.
Right.
They're not making the best long-term decision that would make them more money later. You might take a hit on the money right now, but it would make you so much more long run. And that's the thing that I don't understand is that whole scenario of college football has come down to this, and you're not choosing what's the absolute best for long term. You're just choosing what's best for the pocketbook right now. And I'm looking at you, Big Ten and SEC, of we have to have X amount of teams in the playoffs, or we're not going to join the playoffs if you expand it. We're going to have our own playoff.
Right.
Stop. Do what's best for the sport of college football.
Yes.
Do what's best for the sport of college football.
And Heath, the final thing I will say about CBS and this deal, with CBS and the SEC, they got to come front and center and say, hey, best game of the day, we want it on our network. It's ours. We get number one pick. Do you know what pecking order they are in with the Big Ten?
Oh, there's no telling.
Third. Fox gets number one. NBC gets number two. And the crumbs are left to pick up from CBS.
I'm telling you, man, if take last weekend, Steven, it was rivalry weekend. You know all the rivalries. Who would have been number one last week? Let's just say that they had third pick of rivalry games. CBS for the SEC. Let's just say they had third pick. So who would you say number one was?
Alabama and Auburn.
I agree. Who would you say number two was? Yeah, no, it's difficult. I'm doing the same
State Ole
thing.
Miss.
Possibly.
No. Texas A&M.
That's actually an excellent choice. I know who the third choice is. I want to see if we have the same answer. Who do you think the third best rivalry game was?
Vandy, Tennessee.
Yes. And you would have gotten a Heisman Trophy candidate, if not a Heisman Trophy winner, in Diego Pavia as the third choice. And a lot of people would have watched that ball. A lot of people did watch that game because a lot of people couldn't believe that Vandy was blowing out Tennessee. That game was good into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then Vandy started pulling away there about midway through the fourth. So, but it would have been a great game. And people kept watching to see Diego do what Diego does.
Yes.
Man, you're right. They're the dork of the decade. You start the hashtag. Come up with an award. Get you some old tomato soup cans and, Gorilla glue them together. And, I don't know what you're going to put at the top. But, yeah, make you an award. Mail it off to them. Like a vacation Bible school project.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that for you, man, since you've got everything else to do.
Yeah. I'll put that on the list of things to get done that I'll probably check in like 2029, 2030. I'll finally get around to it.
All right. So, Heath, that is going to wrap up this edition of the Stingray Show. When we return on the Monday edition of the Stingray Show, we have already got somebody lined up, and he is very controversial, but he is a fan and a friend of the show. Timmy B, Tim Brendo, will join us Monday morning for a recap and some hot takes on the field of the 12-team playoff. We will see you then. Enjoy your championship weekend of college football for the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the SEC championship games tomorrow, and then the Group of 5 or Group of 6 championship games begin this evening. And Heath, we will see you bright and early once again on Monday morning.
Steven, I'm just glad that I'm getting youth sports out of my life for a couple of months. This is the last weekend of youth sports. My son's still wrestling, but I'm not coaching anything. So I kind of get a little bit of a break, and I am looking forward to that.
And we actually have a comment to go out on. Thank you, K-Bug. She said, great show.
Thank you, K-Bug. I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend.
Yes, correct. And Heath, we will see you. Be safe going around to all of your activities today and tomorrow, like you've talked about on the show. And we will catch you on the Monday edition of the Stingray Show, when we will have the 12-team playoff. It will be announced on Sunday, and the rapid reaction will be Monday morning with the always entertaining Tim Brando.
Timmy B.
And Heath, I know what you're going to eat for lunch today.
Fried bologna Friday. You better believe it, brother.
Catch you on Monday. The chill is in the air, and what goes well with cold weather? Soups. The Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama, has the following soups to choose from. Meaty vegetable soup, which is absolutely delicious. Loaded potato soup. Black bean soup. Smoked ham and white bean chili. Regular chili, which is another great option, or Creole gumbo. Now, the Coker Market is open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. And to find out which soups they are going to have each day, you can find out at the Coker Market's Facebook page, The Coker Market. So check out their Facebook page today to see what kind of soups that the Coker Market is going to have, and go by there and get warmed up with some of the soups there at the Coker Market. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. We all enjoy the changing of the seasons. Fall is a special time to be thankful for our families and many blessings. It is also a great time, though, to review your insurance coverages. Alpha Insurance and hometown agent Jeff Nee can help you personalize your insurance needs. The more you protect, the more you save. With helpful customer service teams right here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi, you can count on Alpha to provide the insurance plan that provides the protection that you need. For all your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call Alpha agent Jeff Nee or drop by his office at 202 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 101 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And remember, with Jeff Nee, the more you protect, the more you save. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. You know, I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do you a brisket blend. We'll do you a chuck blend. We'll do you a sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. And as we walk out of here, tonight begins conference championship games that include the Sun Belt Championship, the Conference USA Championship, the American Championship, and then finally the Mountain West Championship, and then all of the the Power 4 Conference Championship games get underway tomorrow. So championship weekend begins tonight with the group of 6 and then others tomorrow, and we will see you again on Monday. Enjoy championship weekend, regardless if your team is in it or not.